Qumran, a place of mystery and imagination. If not for the discovery of what are known collectively as the Dead Sea Scrolls in the caves above the ruin, Qumran would most likely remain an obscure footnote in history. The Dead Sea Scrolls have inspired the imagination of many in the Jewish and Christian world and are arguably the single most important archaeological discovery of the 20th century. Who was it that hid these ancient texts in obscure desert caves, and why are the scrolls so important to biblical textual studies? I'm Dan Cathcart, and this is Shadows in the Land of Israel. Qumran has come to be known as a primary settlement of the lesser-known Second Temple-era sect of Jews called the Essenes. The historian Flavius Josephus describes this obscure sect in his writings as an idealistic, separatist group of men who lived as monks in an isolated community in the Judean desert. The Essenes lived a rather austere lifestyle, not unlike a commune, and where they shared all of their property. They purified themselves daily in a mikveh or ritual bath of cold water and practiced other daily rituals steeped in mysticism. After the destruction of the temple by the Romans in 70 CE and the sacking of the Qumran community shortly before, the Essenes gradually vanished, leaving little or no record of their existence outside of Josephus's historical account, until the discovery in the winter of 1947 by two Bedouin tribesmen, strange clay jars containing what appeared to be old parchment scrolls. Not understanding the significance of their find, the tribesmen took 3 of these scrolls, which happened to be the complete Isaiah scroll, the Habakkuk commentary, and the community rule scrolls, to a shoemaker, thinking that they would be useful in making sandals. The shoemaker also happened to be an antiquities dealer, and immediately recognized the scrolls as a valuable find, and along with other businessmen, persuaded the tribesmen to take them to the caves where they found the scrolls, and 4 more ancient scrolls were discovered: the Book of War, the Thanksgiving Psalms, the Isaiah B scroll, and the Genesis Apocryphon. The scrolls passed through several hands and came to the attention of Professor Eliezer Sukenik of the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. On November 29, 1947, the very day that the United Nations Assembly voted in favor of a Jewish state in Palestine, the professor purchased 2 of these precious scrolls. On this historic date, for the Jewish people, Professor Sukenik read for the first time in 2,000 years the ancient writings and immediately understood the significance of these scrolls. The original cave was further excavated in 1949, revealing fragments from 70 different ancient scriptures. In 1952, a team of archaeologists initiated an extensive survey of the hills around the ruins of Qumran, revealing over 200 caves. In the cave number 3, the copper scroll was discovered, and it is currently on display in the Jordan Archaeological Museum in Amman. This scroll contained a listing of 63 places in the land of Israel where silver, gold, and other treasures were hidden, and many people have tried to locate this treasure, but to no avail. In the same year, 1952, Cave 4 was discovered, revealing by far the richest find. Cave 4 contained 15,000 fragments from 600 different manuscripts. This cave was most likely the hiding place for the main library of the Qumran community. In 1956, Cave 11 was discovered, containing several of the most important and revealing scrolls, including the liturgical scroll, the Aramaic translation of the Book of Job, and the 8-meter-long temple scroll. All in all, between 1947 and 1956, fragments of 900 different scrolls had been discovered. These scrolls and fragments were written between 250 BCE and 68 CE, when the Qumran community was sacked by the Romans. The Dead Sea Scrolls shed new light on the life and times of the Essenes and are an important source of early Jewish wisdom and literature, from the samples of the Tanakh to the apocryphal books. Many of these also shed some light on the beginning of Christianity, and even today, biblical scholars are far from exhausting the full extent of this treasure of Scripture. In order to understand the people who had hidden these scrolls in the caves, it was necessary to find the settlement in which they lived. The ruins of a small community had been known for nearly a century to be just below the hillsides where the caves were discovered, but it had never drawn too much attention until now. Excavations at Qumran revealed three major phases of occupation, beginning in the 7th century BCE, coinciding with the dawn of the Kingdom of Judea. At the end of the 2nd century BCE, a new settlement was established, but it was wiped out by the earthquakes in 31 BCE. The site was immediately rebuilt and was a thriving community until its destruction in 68 CE during the Great Revolt. There is some evidence that Roman soldiers then occupied Qumran for a short time before it was abandoned completely. So what was found in the excavations at Qumran was quite remarkable. A thriving community was revealed, centered around a large main building containing a courtyard separating two wings, a large hall which most likely served as a meeting or dining hall, along with nearly 1,000 ceramic vessels of various types were discovered in an adjoining pantry. Tables and benches made from plaster-covered mud bricks, some containing inkwells, were uncovered in one of the rooms. This central building complex also contained cooking ovens, pottery workshops, storerooms, and stables. An extensive water delivery and storage system was revealed at Qumran, including an aqueduct to capture the seasonal water flow from the Qumran Wadi. Water was stored in several large pools hewn directly into the bedrock and plastered to make them watertight. Each pool had a staircase leading down to the water at any level and were capable of holding 1,000 cubic meters or more. Animal bones, consisting of mainly goats and sheep, were found in intact cooking vessels. A large cemetery with 1,100 burials was excavated just east of the central building. This revealed that the majority of the Qumran population probably lived in tents or huts rather than stone buildings. East of the main Qumran site, the remains of a farming area were discovered where the evidence showed that they cultivated date palms, which still thrive in the salty conditions of the Dead Sea area to this day. Not untypical of archaeological sites in the Judean desert, Qumran was extremely well preserved up to a few meters, leaving artifacts untouched for 2,000 years. This allowed a very thorough study and interpretation of the site, which agrees very well with the descriptions and accounts and of the nature of the Essene communities by Flavius Josephus. It was quickly apparent that the community at Qumran received some warning of the ultimate destruction by the Romans and carefully hid away their most precious possessions, what we have come to know as the Dead Sea Scrolls. Among these many scrolls are many biblical texts, actually all the books of the Tanakh with the exception of the book of Esther. The scrolls are in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. There are also apocryphal books, some of which were previously unknown. There are texts containing traditions concerning biblical figures and sectarian texts, including commentaries, rules, and prayers that were previously unknown. Prior to the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the oldest existing example of books of the Tanakh had been the Masoretic text, composed in the 9th century CE. The Dead Sea Scrolls predate it by more than 900 years. Among the sectarian books is the Community Rule, which describes in great detail the customs of the Qumranites. There are the Community Scrolls, which interpret prophecy, and the Book of War, which describes the ultimate war between good and evil. The Dead Sea Scrolls are a major contributor to our understanding of the Second Temple period. Their discovery has radically changed many scholarly disciplines, including biblical criticism, the study of apocryphal text, and the development of Jewish prayer, history, and law. The importance of the Dead Sea Scrolls cannot be understated, and lies in their uniqueness. They have no parallel. The Dead Sea Scrolls from the caves above the small, seemingly insignificant Essene community of Qumran have and continue to tell us more about ourselves than we can possibly imagine. They continue to enlighten us about the pivotal period in the development of Judaism and early Christianity, and they have shown us that we have a common root, a common goal, and a common inheritance. I'm Dan Cathcart, and this is Shadows in the Land of Israel.